Hey guys, this is one of the demos coming out of looking at your guys' first week of in-progress work. I think that this is Bianca's work, and what I want to do is add strokes to the robot so it looks a little more similar to the dinosaur here. And I'll also maybe add some grass in the background and foreground. Now it's a little difficult because I only have kind of basically like the JPEG that was uploaded to Lalima and not all the layers. So this is basically the most difficult it could possibly be to do this. So I'm going to pretend basically all this is on the same layer as the background, and I'm going to try to set up my tolerance so that I can select each of these areas as separate as possible. If it still looks kind of choppy, what I might do is perhaps, let's see if I can just refine the edge here. And let's just smooth it. Well, that's not working. Contrast. Nope. Well, shoots. That's not going to work. Okay. So this selection is not doing great for me because it's a little choppy because this is pixelated because it's small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to either use my pen tool or my polygonal lasso to sort of set up a selection to make strokes on this with. So just going as kind of carefully as possible. And you know, this would be actually, I didn't quite lay that right, a lot easier if these are on separate layers, like hopefully they are. For Bianca, I'm holding shift, which lets me go straight across with this, and then I'll go back up here. Okay, so like that would be one selection perhaps. And what I can do is in my paths palette, which is apparently, oh there it is in this extra option, say make work path, and I'm going to say 0.5 pixels to try to make it as close as possible to what I selected. This looks a little weird, but we'll just see how it looks. And I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer above my imagery. Oops. And I'll call it strokes. Okay, and so for this one, I'll go ahead and maybe use my pencil, or I could use my brush. And I've got to set the color. I'll set it to the same, maybe just black. Same color as this outline, and I'm going to guess at the size right now. Again, this is a low resolution version. In your higher resolution version, probably the size would be bigger. Like this is actually too big right now. 2 might be okay. Okay, and I will just go back to paths, right click and say stroke path. Okay. Whoa, that's way too big. Hold on. Let's try that again. Make sure I'm using the right tool. Okay, so I'll go up here, I'll click in my extra option, say stroke path, make sure I'm using my pencil, which is what I set up, say OK. And that still looks a little bit big, but not too bad. Again, in your full resolution version, you'll probably have a larger line. Okay, but the idea is to start making this look a little more similar in style to like the dinosaur, right? So I could do that for each separate part. If these are already on separate layers, like let's do this. I reselect this, and I just press Command, oops. And I'm going to go back to this imagery layer and say Command J, so it has just a copy of that robot part there. Take visibility off the strokes. So let's pretend this part was on a separate layer. I could double click outside the layer, say stroke, highlight it, and now I could change things about it, right? So I could say 1.5 maybe. Oh, well let me do 1.5, maybe I'll just do 1. That's pretty close. I could change the color. Maybe it's slightly off, black. Right, so it's looking a little more close to style to the dinosaur here, and I would do that with each part. If they're already floating on different layers, it's super easy, and you can just use these layer styles. The other thing that I recommend doing to this one is and I recommended this to a few of you guys, is adding some grass both in the background and above the imagery layers. So maybe I'll add a layer above and I'll say foreground grass. And I'll use my eyedropper and I'll just try to select a few of the colors here. I don't know if I'll get the same colors that she has, but I'm trying. And I'll go ahead and get my brush, choose one of the grass brushes. Looks like she used this one. And I'll make it kind of big. Because I think I went too big. Whoa, yeah, that is really big. There we go. So size it so it looks like it's about where the dinosaur's feet are. Okay, and I can sort of put some grass at the base of the feet and make it a little smaller because the wheels look a little higher up. And some over sort of the base of the wheels. So it looks like they're actually in the grass. Maybe I would go ahead and go over the foreground again down here so that that covers the grass I just laid down. And again, I'm working just with her JPEG that was posted in discussions. This would be much better resolution, hopefully, in the actual file, and you'd have a bunch of layers set up already. So it looks a little more like they're in the grass. And now in the background, just because there's this hard edge back there, I'm going to try to maybe protect my characters. So I'll just try to select them first. At least where they're overlapping with the ground here. Or like the edge of the ground. And maybe refine the edge. And let's just see if it can figure this out for me. Looks like it's doing okay. We'll just leave that on selection, say select inverse. So I'm in the background, I'm going to use my brush again, make it real little, and I'm just thinking it'll look a little more realistic if we have a little bit of grass sticking up. This might be too big, but you'll get the idea. Oops. There, so it's less of a hard edge. And she would just have to go to the background layer. Hopefully that's already set up on a separate layer than her dinosaur and her robot. But it's just making it a little less hard and a little more realistic. Okay, that's it for this one.